Don't you love it when things are both easier and more affordable? Like when the rain washes your car for you. Or like when you save up to 10% by bundling your renters and auto insurance with USAA. Bundle with USAA and start saving. Get a quote today.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Uh-oh, the last cookie.
You can get a new box of cookies in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Are you my guilty self-conscience?
No, I'm the voice offering you promo code EXPRESS for free delivery on your first order.
Hey, who ate my cookies?
You mean, these cookies?
Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Promotion valid for first express delivery order. $50 minimum subject to availability. Restrictions apply.
What could be worse than a human made up to look like a cat in a film with no plot, a few songs to sing, and so much senseless insanity that you find yourself screaming at the TV to stop being a bad movie? Not much, but at least it's not Cats the Musical. No, this week we travel to the land of Seuss to see if the Cat in the Hat is not that bad. Welcome, one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies, and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners in Warsaw, Poland, and around the world. How are you guys doing? All right. Are you ready for some nightmare fuel? Because we're about to talk about the book that everyone had read to them as a child, and then they watched the movie, and then they never wanted to be read that book again. We're talking about The Cat in the Hat. And bringing this feast to the party, Lyle Robshaw's back on the show. Lyle, how you doing, man?
I am doing great, and I am here to defend this movie to the death.
Yeah, we've had this on our radar for a while now, and I feel like I've subjected you to enough pain on the Grading on a Curve episodes that it's time to serve a little dessert with the sandwiches that I've been dealing you over the years.
And some of them are like triple decker sandwiches as well. Dungeon Siege, we're looking at you.
I still liked that film.
No, we're not starting this today.
Well, okay, I liked that film better than everything else on that show.
No. No, I refuse. I'm sorry. Borderlands was better than that.
All right, Cat in the Hat. What made you want to bring this one to the party?
This was a movie that came out again when I was the absolute perfect target age. I was 8 years old when this movie came out, and I went to see it in theaters, and I loved it. I loved Mike Myers, still do, and I think this was the perfect for somebody like me I'm very into animation. It felt very much like an animated movie brought to life. There's a lot of crazy effects. It was a lot of different concepts thrown at you very quickly. The cast was all in, and this is Mike Myers at his most Mike Meyer-ish, I feel like.
Okay, so I do have to ask, were you read The Cat in the Hat as a kid?
Absolutely, and The Cat in the Hat comes back.
Which was supposed to be made, but wasn't because this film bombed so badly.
Crying shame. It's a crying shame because I do still think this is one of the best Mike Myers performances where he's kind of taken out of the element a little bit and he does something a little different.
I will say, though, that if you are a Cat in the Hat fan, you have but a year to wait for Warner Brothers to release a new animated movie with Bill Hader as the voice of the Cat in the Hat, but also starring Quinta Brunson, Bowen Yang, Xochitl Gomez, Matt Berry, and Paula Pell.
I have full confidence in Mr. Hader. I love him. I think he'll do just fine.
But do you have confidence in Warner Brothers?
I do not.
Okay.
That's the problem.
There we go. All right. So before we travel down Dr. Seuss Road, it is time to take The Cat in the Hat and trailerize it.
There once was a film that was so bad, so crass, so loud, so meh. It turned up on our doorstep like a cat's hairball. Bleh. To capitalize on the very good Grinch was the plan at hand, but what came out of Hollywood was an adaptation oh so bland. Not even Mike Myers himself could help and save the day. In fact, indeed, it was so bad, no more live-action Seuss would come our way. The storybook from our youth, the one you hold so dear, now tarnished amongst bad jokes. Try hard not to tear. And yet, here we are to review a sight that shouldn't be seen. The Cat in the Hat, rated PG, for all the purple and green.
You okay? You're gonna be good.
Funny, yes, all the rhymes. I have rhymes on my note sheet too. It's such a fun movie. I can't believe it bombed so bad.
All right, so let's get into this movie. The movie stars Mike Myers, Spencer Breslin, Dakota Fanning, Alec Baldwin, and Sean Hayes. The almost starring in this is fascinating. First, in the role of Joan, Perry Gilpin was originally scheduled to play the role, but she couldn't because she was scheduled to star in Frasier because she played Roz.
What an absolute jump from Frasier to the Cat in the Hat. What is that?
It almost wasn't Mike Myers in the role of the cat. Tim Allen was originally hired to be the Cat in the Hat, but had to step away because he was doing the Santa Claus 2.
Wow, what an alternate universe that would have. I can't see that. I can't see that at all.
Also, Will Ferrell was considered for the role, but turned it down so he could do Elf.
Okay, that I can see. That tracks.
Billy Bob Thornton had to turn down the role because he was doing Bad Santa.
The hell were they going at Warner Brothers? Hey, you know who we need for the Cat in the Hat? The guy from Bad News Bears.
But also under consideration for the role of the Cat in the Hat: Robin Williams, Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, and Ben Stiller. Let's go through this one at a time here.
Yeah, go one at a time and I'll give you a yes or a no.
Robin Williams.
Absolutely, probably better than what ended up happening.
Bill Murray.
Yeah, I can see it, but I think he would make it scary somehow.
Well, the interesting thing, too, is Bill Murray was also at one point the voice of Garfield.
Yeah, and I just don't see him being as animated and jumping all over the place as the role kind of called for. Robin Williams is perfect. He was energy in a bottle.
Owen Wilson.
Nah, too sad.
Danny DeVito.
That one doesn't make any sense, and I don't know how they'd make it work. What, is he going to be on stilts the whole time?
The penguin is the cat. Okay. And Ben Stiller.
Yeah, I don't know. That one probably could have worked. I see a bit of it in Zoolander, I guess.
Trying to now picture the Cat in the Hat making blue steel faces at the camera.
Yeah, there it is.
The movie was directed by Bo Welch. This is the first and only movie directed by Bo Welch, who prior to this had done episodes of the live action Tick Show in 2001 and has since done episodes of A Series of Unfortunate Events. This film had a budget of $109 million. Domestically, it only made $101 million, and worldwide $133 million. When it debuted on the November 21st, 2003 weekend, it debuted, of course, at number one because it's the Cat in the Frickin' Hat, with $38.3 million. The only other debut that week was Gothica, which debuted at $19.2 million at number 2. There are some accolades for this film. At the Teen Choice Awards, Sean Hayes was nominated for Choice Hissy Fit, but lost to Adam Sandler in Anger Management. And it all goes downhill from there.
Let the Razzies begin.
Oh, before we even get there, at the 2004 Dallas-Fort Worth Film Critics Association Awards, it won for Worst Film. At the 2003 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, it won for Worst Picture, won for Worst Screenplay for a film grossing more than $100 million worldwide, 1 for most annoying non-human character for The Cat in the Hat. Thing 1 and Thing 2 were also nominated. I'm not behind this, but I have to mention it anyways. Spencer Breslin won for worst performance by a child actor, and I really don't like the idea.
That category shouldn't even exist. That's a bunch of bull.
It shouldn't, but it did in 2003, but Dakota Fanning was also nominated for that. The following year, it was renamed the Spencer Breslin Award.
That's ridiculous. That's straight up bullying.
I
Both of
know.
those kids did good in this movie.
I know.
I think the kids are a bright spot.
Bo Welch was nominated for Worst Director, lost to McGee for Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Yeah.
Mike Myers was nominated for Worst Actor, but lost to Ben Affleck for Daredevil, Paycheck, and Gigli.
Yeah, it wasn't a good time to be Mr. Affleck, was it?
Alec Baldwin was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, but lost to Sylvester Stallone for Spy Kids 3D Game Over. The look on your face tells me everything I need to know.
So I'm not even getting into that. I'm not even getting in. Spy Kids 3 is a piece of art that should be hanging in the Louvre. I'm sorry.
Mike Myers was nominated for Worst Fake Accent Male, lost to Ben Affleck and Gigli. The movie was nominated for Most Painfully Unfunny Comedy, lost to Boat Trip. And Fun was nominated for Worst Song, lost to, and I hate to remind you of this, Anytime from Justin to Kelly.
Jesus Christ. I can't believe there's so many people that work in the film industry that are wrong.
At the 2004 Razzies, it won for Worst Excuse for an Actual Movie, All Concept, No Content. Was nominated for Worst Picture, lost to Gigli. Mike Myers was nominated for Worst Actor, lost to Ben Affleck for Gigli. Alec Baldwin was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, lost to Sylvester Stallone for Spy Kids 3. Kelly Preston was nominated for Worst Supporting Actress, but lost to Demi Moore for Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. Mike Myers and either Thing 1 or Thing 2 were nominated for Worst Screen Couple, lost to Bennifer for Gigli. Belle Welch was nominated for Worst Director, lost to Martin Brest for Gigli, and was nominated for Worst Screenplay, lost to Gigli. At the 2005 Razzies, it was nominated for Worst Comedy of the Razzies first 25 years, lost to Gigli. At the 2010 Razzies, Mike Myers was nominated for Worst Actor of the Decade for The Cat in the Hat and The Love Guru. And we've already covered The Love Guru on this show.
Yeah, The Love Guru, I can agree, should go down with the ship, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to say anything bad about this movie.
Lost to Eddie Murphy for, and you have to hear this list, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, I Spy, Imagine That, Meet Dave, Showtime, and Norbit.
Norbit definitely deserves just off of Norbit alone, but I liked I Spy.
I Spy can be defended, and we've covered The Adventures of Pluto Nash, and we've covered Norbit on this. Can you tell we've been around a while because we've covered a bunch of these films? But the reason why we are here, and not just because Lyle has fantastic taste in movies sometimes, are the critics. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, this film has a tomatometer of 10%. 10. The popcorn meter sits at 57%. At IMDb, it sits at 4.1 out of 10 stars for a 41% score. Metacritic has a 19 Metascore. At Letterboxd, it sits at 2.6 out of 5 stars for a 52%. And at the movie database sits at 53%, giving this film an aggravated aggregate of 38.6%. Lyle, I already know you like this film.
I do.
So I
do like this movie.
So I'm going to tweak the question a little bit here. 57% is the highest score in our data set. Are we close with 57%?
I would put this at a solid 65 to 75.
Okay.
That's where my guess would be. I think, especially at this point right now, a lot of people, it's a kid's movie. It's based off a Dr. Seuss book. I also think it suffers because, just like you said in the trailer, Eyes, it had to follow The Grinch, which was an art form, which was one of my favorite movies ever made, is the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. I've said this to you before. It's on my top 10 list of favorite movies. It had big shoes to fill. It's a far out concept. They were taking a 30-page children's book and turning it into an hour-and-a-half movie.
I think there's also a trepidation when you take something that is so iconic from, the multiple childhoods that have enjoyed this book growing up. Like this is in every kid's bookshelf. It's kind of like when they did the Where the Wild Things Are.
Yes, 100%. It's difficult because, just like you said, you're taking this thing that's generational in print. Okay, now how do we flesh it out? How do we add more to it? Because if you just did the book verbatim, it would be a 20-minute short, right? So you have to add to it. You have to add more characters. You have to give them more things to do than just mess up the house and clean it before the mom gets home. You have to make it bigger, bigger, bigger for the movie theater. I think as a kid's movie, when you look at it from the lens of, we're not looking at an Oscar winner. This isn't Francis Ford Coppola. This is Mike Myers playing a talking cat. That's from a Dr. Seuss book. I think it's hilarious. I quote this movie to this day. And now for the indoor stair luge. Like, come on. It's a fun movie.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo McValue en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrente a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con McValue, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
All right, so let's get to the breakdown of this film. We're going to start with the Cat in the Hat himself, Mr. Mike Myers. Your thoughts on him?
I don't think there's anyone that could have done it except for Robin Williams. And I never even thought of that until you said his name. I think Mike Myers is the perfect style of actor for this. There are parts in this movie where it feels like the script just said, and here Mike Myers is Mike Myers. You know what I mean? It feels like there was a lot of room for him to throw things in. There was a lot of improvisation, it feels like. And it is kind of tailor-made for one of those Saturday Night Live sketch comedy actors. So I think they hit the nail on the head for who should play him. But I think one of the reasons the movie suffers is because he looks so goddamn terrifying in the makeup. You can see his face at all times, the outline of his face in the suit. I can't imagine the nightmare it was getting in and out of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Carrey kind of disappeared in the Grinch makeup. He was unidentifiable.
And he had to take actual military training to do it as well. For a lot of people that don't know, he's very claustrophobic. And he was trained by a former CIA operative who was a torture expert. So he could sit in the makeup chair for the 5 hours it took every morning to become the Grinch. Each one of those hairs was individually placed. And I'm pretty sure this process was similar because it does look very Grinch-esque.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, is one has to ask themselves, do they like Mike Myers outside of this film? Because there are a lot of Mike Myers-isms in this.
Yes.
So do you like Austin Powers? Yes. Then you're probably going to like this. Do you like Wayne's World? yes, you're probably going to like this. Do you like So I Married an Axe Murderer? Because I found there was a lot of that in his portrayal of the Cat in the Hat as well. Then you're probably going to like this. If you don't like Mike Myers comedy, this is not the film for you, because it does feel like the role was tailor-made to what he can bring to the screen.
Yeah, 100%. I think I see more of Austin Powers than anything. There's a lot of times, especially where he makes a joke, laughs at himself, and then kind of like walks away. You definitely see the Austin Powers oozing out a little bit.
Yeah. But there were times too where he would deliver a line and then he would stop and like talk very, very quietly, kind of thing, almost like talking to himself down from the joke. That felt very much like So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, a lot of fourth wall breaking as well, which was interesting. An interesting way to go. I thought a lot of the fourth wall breaking jokes were actually quite funny, especially the cooking show one where he is talking directly to the audience and not the kids. It's meta in certain ways,
Yeah.
which was wild for a Dr. Seuss movie.
But then the fourth wall break leads you to the Wayne's World films. So if
Yeah.
if you like Mike Myers comedy, like I enjoyed this film. I'll put this right out there. I enjoyed this film. It made me laugh. It made my wife laugh. It made my son laugh. All good. Had you put someone like Adam Sandler in this role, I would be cringing through the entire damn thing because I'm not a big Adam Sandler fan.
And it does feel like, because it's a character that was not really fleshed out, the cat didn't have a lot of personality in the book because the book is so short. He's just a rhyming metaphor basically for the kids gaining responsibility, if you want to get super like film criticky about it. So whatever actor took it, the form of the cat was going to kind of adapt itself to that actor. So I do think Mike Myers was perfect for it, other than Robin Williams. I would have loved to have seen a version of this where it was Robin Williams.
But to that same token as well, because yeah, well, also Robin Williams is a fantastic, was a fantastic prop comic too. If you saw any of his stand-up specials,
Yes.
The minute the trunk is broken open, it's like, oh, what's he got going on now?
Yeah, and he doesn't even know until he gets in there. That's the best part about Robin Williams.
But I mean, you mentioned it earlier. The Cat in the Hat is not a long book, and it's not a deep book. It is literally about a cat making a mess with a bunch of kids and then cleans up the mess and boom, then you're gone. So you had to build a story around this very basic plot, this basic premise. So of course you're going to lean into whoever is in the role. I mean, Will Ferrell probably would have disappeared into the role, and that's fine. But I don't know if there are many Will Ferrell isms that you could have lent into in order to be able to pull this off.
When I think of a Will Ferrell Cat in the Hat, it would have to be rated R. Honestly, like when I think of Will Ferrell and the style of comedy that would have had to be used for that, I don't know if he would have been able to pull it off, because a lot of the times when he's the funniest is when you take the reins off of him a little bit. And there's definitely, you had to dance within certain parameters here. It was a kid's movie and you're dealing with a beloved IP. So as much as I do love Will Ferrell, I can't see it. Just like you said, I can't see him morphing into that. Like I can see even Ben Stiller, I kind of see that a little bit, but I think Mike Myers was bang on perfect, just like Jim Carrey with the Grinch. Another good example of a character that didn't really have any defining traits except for being a Grinch, like for being just mean for the sake of being mean. So you had to give that to somebody who could take it and adapt to it and make it their own.
Yeah. I mean, are you going to have someone who can improv? Yes, absolutely. Are you going to have someone who has a built-in audience already too? Because that's the other thing too. Mike Myers was huge at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This was at the time, I think, when he was arguably at his highest, because it was right around the Shrek timeline. Like we're in that same era of when he was, and anything that came out with him in it, people were going to see it just because Mike Myers.
Yeah. Spencer Breslin, who played Conrad, your thoughts on him?
I think he's a really good actor, but I do think this is his best role. I can't believe they named a bad acting trophy after a child. That just makes me very sad. But I think both of the kids were really good, especially Spencer in this kind of just shitty for the sake of being shitty. And I'm going to, begrudge my mom and try to be the worst. Again, the indoor stair luge. He's a bedwetter. She's a rule breaker. One of my favorite parts of the movie is the kidometer that measures it through the forehead. I really liked him. I think that for a kid actor, it's difficult. Every single child actor, my heart goes out to you because it's an incredibly difficult job if you're a grown adult, let alone when you're a kid trying to make it. And you're in this massive movie off this huge IP. I think he did great. I think throughout the movie, the ones that really kept it going and are often the straight man to the cat are the kids, and they're a good straight man.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about Spencer Breslin on the show before when we covered the movie Zoom. But I think in Zoom, he was given a less than stellar part because
I would argue he was one of the supporting characters more than a star as well.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it was more centered around the older boy and the girl, the romance there and stuff like that. It was and the kid, the younger girl as well. He was definitely the fourth place in that set of heroes, whereas the kids are front and center.
Yeah. But here, and at first I was like, oh, this is not going well. I initially thought it wasn't going well. And then I rearranged my thought process on this, and I tried to figure out what they were trying to portray with this family. So if you take a look at the family, the mom and the two kids, they are very much this idealized Leave It to Beaver kind of 50s sitcom family. And in that kind of mindset, his portrayal works because it is a very, I don't want to say stilted, but very kind of what people would look back at a 50s sitcom and how would they talk. Take a look at WandaVision. The first episodes of WandaVision are exactly that.
It's true. And it sets it up right at the beginning of the movie. He is an outlier in the community almost, like where neighbor greets neighbor with a neighborly hey. People mow their lawn twice daily if needed. It's a very clean cut uniform thing. And he's the black sheep of the family a little bit.
But not an annoying black sheep of the family. Like he's not crazy. He's not screaming. He's bored.
Conrad doesn't want to go to military school.
Yeah, Conrad is just a bored kid trying to find some fun in a family situation where the mom is always working and his sister is very organized, to say the least, right?
I think of one of the reasons I really like this movie is I see a lot of myself and my sister in those two characters because it's pretty spot on. I never tried to luge down the stairs on like a baking sheet or anything like that, but it's pretty dead center of me being the agent of chaos and my sister having like a planner for her planner kind of thing.
Wait, you're saying you didn't try to stair luge?
Well, not on a cookie sheet, but in a toy box once or twice, or a Rubbermaid container or something like that. I probably did.
Okay, well, you're quantifying here. I get it. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
But I saw, especially when I was a kid and I was watching it, I did see my sister and I a lot in these two characters.
But yeah, the tendency would be to make the troublemaker kid annoying as hell. But he's not. He wants to have fun in a house because unfortunately the mom is too busy to have fun.
And getting hit on by the skeeziest version of Alec Baldwin that's ever existed.
Oh, we'll get to him in a bit, but yeah. Yeah, I liked the kids in this. I liked the 50s sitcom family vibe that they portrayed in this. And if you take a look at this under that microscope, this film is more I don't want to say an analysis, but it's basically like an homage to the Leave It to Beaver kind of family.
It very much is. And it would have been very easy for them to just lean on Mike Myers and not have the kids have a lot of personality. It would have been very easy to just, like they are in the book, just have them kind of standing there, oh my God, as the cat turns everything into a cartoon. But they gave them their own subplots. They gave the kids stuff to do and tried really hard, I think, to give them an arc to overcome in themselves, separated from the cat, that didn't have anything to do with the cat. There was a lot there, and there didn't have to be. They could have played it very safe, and they didn't. They took a shot with it.
I think the other good thing, too, is that they didn't have Conrad bugging Sally. Like, yeah, is she annoyed a little bit with his, for lack of a term, lack of structure. But it's not like he's being mean to the sister. So you allow Conrad to not be a dislikable kid. He's bored. That's all it is.
And they're also not like outright enemies either, because a lot of things do that as well. A lot of movies like this, like the kids hate each other or something. It's an easy trope to kind of fall into. Oh, well, they'll make up at the end. It's not. It is more of a personal conflict that they get over. It's they each have flaws. The girl is not objectively the right one and the good one because she is so hyper organized and kind of a stick in the mud. They say, no, that's an issue too. You got to find balance in the middle.
Yeah. They don't hate each other. They just don't get each other.
Yes, exactly. Which is, like I said, much more of a subplot than you would expect from a movie like this.
Dakota Fanning, who played Sally, your thoughts on her?
I think Dakota Fanning is amazing. She's gotten better with age, obviously, but in this, she is so young. I don't know how old she is in this movie, but obviously Conrad kind of had more of the creative license to act like a kid. She did a really good job in acting like an organized adult, even at a very young age. I liked Conrad the most because I identified with Conrad, but I think Sally is the straight man of the entire movie.
Yeah.
And to give that role to a girl, I don't know if she was 10 or older. I really don't know how old she was when this movie came out, but very impressive performance from a young actor, given such a crazy kind of painting to work with.
Yeah. I mean, consider this, right? Around this time, she's already been in a couple of big movies, like The War of the Worlds. I'm not a fan of The War of the Worlds, the Tom Cruise version.
Oh, see, I like that. I like that movie. I like War of the Worlds.
I'm not a fan of that one. But she was also in Man on Fire with Denzel Washington. That is a fan-freaking-tastic film.
Really good movie. Really good movie.
Yeah, no, it's I give this girl full kudos. And keep in mind, when this film came out, she was 9 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy to be given such a huge pedestal and to be working next to a human black hole of charisma like Mike Myers. Like, how do you go up against that? You know what I mean? And not only go up against it, but like I said, it's just them three in a room for most of this movie. It's just the kids acting with the cat. So, like I said, a 9-year-old girl playing the straight man to Mike Myers is a crazy feat, and she did it very well.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best parts are Sally's reactions to what the Cat in the Hat is doing. It's for lack of a better term, it's thespian physical acting, but not over the top.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think that, I didn't know that there was an actual bad acting award named after the kid, which is just shameful of whoever set out to do that in the first place. But I don't think they deserve it. I do think that out of everything, the kids kind of shine the brightest in this because, of course, Mike Myers is going to take over, but they do really good next to him.
Yeah. Had they actually done the Harry Potter films back then?
Hermione. Yeah. 1,000%. I see it.
Or maybe Luna Lovegood.
Ooh. That's a good question because Luna's one of my favorite Harry Potter characters. I think she'd be a better Hermione because she's basically a young Hermione here in a way.
There is that kind of aspect to Sally in this.
Just absolutely no bull. Like there's
Hermione with the organizational skills of an Amy Santiago from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Exactly. That's perfect.
Kelly Preston, who played Joan Walden, the mom in this. Your thoughts on her?
I think all the adults in this are they're not in it a whole lot, which is good. I think that it should have been left to try to stick to the book as much as you should. But she does have some very funny moments. I think the moments in her office and her trying to deal with all of this insanity flying around her, I think she does a very good job. And she also looks the part. When you said that kind of like Leave It to Beaver 50s sitcom, she's a dead ringer for that style. Like the hairstyle, everything, the dresses, the set design, and the props for this movie also deserve some shine because they really make everybody look Dr. Seuss. Much like the Grinch did. I think they even did it better here because it's one thing to make this whole fantastical town full of like Christmas people look like a Dr. Seuss book. It's another thing to make a small town feel like Dr. Seuss. I think she and the cat are two of the characters that really feel kind of mostly that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, again, as I mentioned with WandaVision, you take a look at what Elizabeth Olsen brought to those early episodes that were set in like the 50s and the 60s, that kind of sitcom vibe. Kelly Preston literally brought that, working mom kind of, Leave It to Beaver-esque kind of vibe to this. I mean, like Kelly Preston, when she was, the dearly departed Kelly Preston, when she was acting in Twins and Jerry Maguire, like she has such a good filmography, and I think she was the perfect choice for this.
And she also has one of the best gags in the movie when she's reading out the rules to the kids before she leaves, and Conrad gets this huge, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. What about me, Mom? Can I have any rules from Sally? No chewing tobacco. You have my word. I'll try my best. That's absolutely hilarious.
I will say that we have talked about her before when we did the episode on Space Camp, but she was good in that too. Kelly Preston always brought really good acting to the screen. You mentioned the skeeziest neighbor ever, Alec Baldwin as Lawrence Quinn. Your thoughts on Larry?
I think Larry is hilarious. I'm sorry, but like, I got watching it now as a grown adult, I got just as many laughs out of Larry as anybody else, because like we all know a Larry. Everybody knows a Larry. He's got the shape trainer that he takes off. He cracks the beer. The part with Nevins, the dog. I need you to hold this abnormally large pen that requires both hands. Then he grabs onto it and angrily writes his name on the petition to save the endangered Zamzizaru or whatever it was called. I think it's Alec Baldwin. He's funny. It's a good turn for him. But as an adult, I found a lot more humor in him than I did when I was a kid.
Yeah, this is the kind of humor that he was putting on 30 Rock.
Yeah,
that kind of translated to this. But I think the interesting thing too is this is where a character like Larry needs to be. Getting back to the original story, there is not really I mean, yes, the Cat in the Hat, I guess you could call him the antagonist in the book.
Kind of.
But if you stuck to just a straight translation of the book, then you have your main character being the problem. The Cat in the Hat is not the problem in this. The Cat in the Hat is the means to the end for the kids. So you need to have some kind of antagonist. And as was talked about when they were making the film, if they just did a straight adaptation, be like, well, why is the mom leaving her kids all by themselves? Right?
Yeah,
you need to have a reason for that. Larry here also gives someone for the kids to work against. Because if they work against the Cat in the Hat, then it's a weird kind of dynamic, and it doesn't allow you to be able to stick the landing on the moral ending of the story.
And it also, like I said, it would have been very easy for them to try to make a villain for the cat instead of for the kids. They could have very easily said, okay, let's make this big, cartoony, grandiose, evil guy that's trying to take over the world or something. Because there is so much creative license they had when they took over this story. So I really like the fact that they didn't make an antagonist for the cat. They made an antagonist for the kids.
Yeah.
Instead. And they made it very grounded. He's not like some Dr. Seuss character that's transforming things into other things and doing cartoonish stuff. He's just a greasy old guy that's hitting on their mom. And it fits really well because that also gives the cat more runway to be the only crazy, zany thing happening in the room until thing 1 and thing 2 show up, kind of thing. So I'm really happy that they didn't make a villain for the cat, and instead they made somebody for the kids to butt up against right from the get-go.
And I think it works out well. He's not just this guy who's trying to hit on his mom or on their mom kind of thing, but Larry's pathetic.
He has no money. He's a gold digger.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a job, sits in his house all day drinking beer and watching TV. He wants to get rid of Conrad, keep Sally, and take over the house. That's his big plan. He wants to kind of insert himself into the good life a little bit.
Yeah. So by making Larry so pathetic, you make him unlikable, and you enjoy when he gets his comeuppance.
Yeah. 100%. And it's like I said, it's not this grand overarching take over the world plot. It's a simple one, which you wouldn't expect looking at this from the outside. You would expect kind of something much more out there with it, but it works really well. And I think Baldwin did very, very good at it. You can tell he was having fun.
Yeah. And
You
that's the
can.
thing. Like, regardless of how this movie did, they did look like they were having some fun making this.
Everybody involved felt like they were, you can tell, like, it doesn't matter how good of an actor you are. When you see somebody in something that you can tell their heart's not into it, it translates. You can feel that coming off of them. Everybody in this movie looked like they were having a great time. And how could you not, really, when you look at it objectively?
Amy Hill, who played Mrs. Kwan, the babysitter.
One of the physical comedy of Mrs. Kwan should not be understated. When they use her as the paperweight to keep the crate shut, that's hilarious. I'm sorry. When she's watching Chinese CPAC on TV, no more big government, and they're like fighting on screen, like, it's everybody hits in this. Like, I don't understand how this movie is so lauded, because everybody in it is funny or has a very funny moment at the very least.
Oh yeah, like there's a potentially dead babysitter hanging off a coat hanger in the closet.
Yeah.
And yet it works. I mean, the other thing too is you don't want the babysitter to get in the way of this. So having your babysitter with chronic severe narcolepsy.
I was about to say she's basically narcoleptic when he has her hanging in the closet and he opens it up to get something. Oh, pardon me. And he just shoves her to the side. Like, it's so funny.
But that's the thing. It becomes a bit of a running gag, but the running gag works because it's not overkill.
Yeah, they don't oversaturate anybody. Other than the cat, obviously. The cat's in there. And once he shows up, it's Mike Myers' show. But no supporting character overstays their welcome.
Yeah. I mean, admittedly, when they used her as a luge down the stairs.
Going down the stairs in the slide, yeah.
Head bumping off of every stair, yeah.
A literal prop, yeah. Thump, thump, thump. That's like, it's so funny. And kudos to the actress, too, because very funny without saying a whole lot. And that's not easy to do.
No. I mean,
to be almost silent and still get a lot of big laughs out of the theater kind of thing.
Yeah, the makeup worked perfectly in basically creating a cartoon character out of Mrs. Kwan, so you can turn her into a comedic prop.
Yeah, very, very good.
Sean Hayes pulling double duty in this one. First, as Mr. Humberflube, the mom's boss. Your thoughts?
That's probably the quote that I recite from Fired. What? Fired. Germophobic. You got to wash your hands for even. He's got the holster with the hand sanitizer on. Pre-COVID, they were like thinking of something there. They were on something and they didn't even know it. Very fun. Again, another supporting character that every time he's on screen, he gets a laugh. But it's a trait that if you showed it too much, it would get old.
Yeah.
It would. If you had him just being scared of everything dirty, it would be very difficult to try to make that work for an hour and a half. But in a way, it almost kind of sticks into the back of your mind. Because once the cat completely destroys the home, turning it into basically a parallel dimension at one point, thinking in the back of your head, you're like, oh my God, if the mom shows up with Mr. Germaphobe and this is here. Like, he does a really good job of staying with you, even though he's probably only in a total of what, like 10 minutes of the movie?
Yeah, it's not long. But he's also the voice of the fish.
The fish.
Which I get. You need the fish. The fish is part of the book. If you don't have the fish, people are going to pitchfork. But the CGI leaves a little to be desired about the fish.
That's another thing. Just like the cat, really funny, but a lot of the detractions are going to come from the CGI that was used there. I don't know if there was any other way they could have done it at the time with the technology available, because there is some good bits with the fish. I wet my bowl. Hilarious. He does like a lot of lines from the book are in there, and one of the best ones is, "Its cat should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here while your mother is out." Like, he delivers really well, but unfortunately it's out of this giant headlight-eyed goldfish that kind of distracts you a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you have a tough character to portray in a 2003 film. Like, you have to do it, but how do you do it properly, because you need to make the fish so flamboyant, not flamboyant, but so, for lack of a better term, so out of the bowl, because that's what it is in the book.
Yes, it is. He is supposed to be the straight man because the kids don't talk much in the book. So in the book, he's the straight man. So I think of all the characters that had a big change from the book that weren't outright added. I think the fish is probably the one that was given the most leeway because we have to do something. Because, like you said, if they didn't have the fish, there'd be people losing their mind over it. So I think they did the best with what they could have done with that, but I just wish CGI had come a little bit further at the time.
Yeah.
Because he stands out like a sore thumb.
The nightmare fuel that is Thing 1 and Thing 2. Your thoughts?
Let's go, Chocolate Thunder. Again, you're not going to get me to say anything bad about it. It's an interesting thing to try to bring them into a live action movie because it's all still in the book, right? You just kind of see them interacting with things. So again, it's another character where they kind of had to, okay, well, what do these look like in real life? What would they do? So I almost akin them to The Mask.
That's actually not a half bad analogy when you think about it.
They're just 100% pure cartoon energy. There's no speaking. They're just tornadoes and pulling things out of their pockets, and everything they get their hands on is this different, like, physical situational sketch. So they had, again, it's another one of those characters you could not make the movie without Thing 2 and Thing 1. And I do think they have some very funny moments, like the nicknames Chocolate Thunder and the doing the Russian dance and throwing the plates everywhere. They're the ones that ruin the house, right?
Yeah.
So, and almost turning them into the cats, like, into the metaphorical help for the cat. Like, I need to destroy this house. I'm not going to do it. So here's my two guys to do it for you.
I know. I will say that I actually didn't have a problem with the Cat in the Hat's makeup and look. I had problems with the things.
You can see it's a wig. The hair looks so incredibly fake. It's not even funny. And they look exactly like the Who's from the Grinch movie as well. It almost looks like they reused some of the nose prosthetics for Thing 2 and Thing 1. And again, it's like the fish. If it just would have looked a little bit better, I think the reception would have been a little bit better.
Yeah, but keep in mind, too, when the things finally do show up, we're at mass chaos levels here.
Yes, we're pretty far into the movie as well.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, and I recognize that YouTube really wasn't what YouTube is now back then, but it's one of those things where if you've ever watched one of those YouTube channels where all they do is just scream and then laugh and then scream and then laugh and they run around and they scream and then they laugh.
Fred, it reminds me of Fred, if you know what that is. Fred, the YouTube channel. Hey, it's Fred. And then he's just like throwing things around. That it's very much early YouTube.
I mean, I was going to say unspeakable, but you know, that we're kind of there. But the things are basically like every loud YouTube channel out there.
Yeah. Just trying to get a reaction, and it doesn't matter what we do. I think out of all the characters they could have skipped, maybe them, but you couldn't at the same time. So it's like the fish. It's this weird catch-22 where it's like we already have so many things throwing everything at the wall, but we kind of need to have these two in there somehow. So just make them the ones that completely destroy the house.
What you needed to do, rather than just have them be like rando Red Bull fueled kind of chaos, you needed to make them almost with some Minions energy.
Yeah, and that comes off like that's a great way to put it, because it's true. There is a Gru in the Minions feel to it. He brings them in, and there's that really cool shot where the house is like cut in half, and it looks like a dollhouse, and they're just, flashing through the whole place, destroying everything. And that's kind of their purpose. They're the device to get them to the point where the house is destroyed. I did really like the bit where they take the stains on the curtains and throw it onto the couch. I did really like that.
Yeah, but the other bits with them, it just didn't hit.
No, I think they're probably one of the weaker points of the whole thing. Thankfully, they're not in it for a very long time, because it's closely after that they leave the house looking for Nevins, who has the crab lock on her collar.
Yeah.
So that's when things kind of pick up again in the second act a little bit, when they actually leave the house and go out into the world a little bit.
All right. I have to ask this question because I don't have an answer. So I'm hoping you have an answer.
Oh, God. Putting me on the spot.
Why the hell is Paris Hilton in this film?
It's a really good question. It felt like gratuitous product placement.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's get something to pop the parents in the audience. You know what I mean? Like when get somebody in there to make a big cameo, kind of, which was kind of a thing at the time too. For a lot of comedies, you'd have some big name there just to be like, oh, look, it's so and so. And it was at the time in 2003 where she was very, very big. The Simple Life was still on at this point. So it makes sense, but now it just feels like a really bad time capsule.
Yeah. I mean, like, have her DJ the party, have her do something rather than just dance and then look at the cat and then just go back to dancing. Like, or at least say something.
Something. Yeah. Like if you're going to have her there, why have it such a passe thing? And you want to talk about a time when Austin Powers is literally beaming out of this movie when they go down into that phone booth, into the party underground. That was an Austin Powers scene. He just had a fursuit on, basically.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if that cameo is Heather Graham.
Oh, yeah, that'd be so much. There's so many other people you could have picked at this point in time. Like, you had so many other people lined up to be the cat. Put a Robin Williams cameo in there.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense, but it doesn't. Now, whenever I see her, I think of Repo, the Genetic Opera, unfortunately. So it was a weird, like...
Boy, don't be dissing my Repo, the Genetic Opera.
I'm not saying anything bad about it, but when I saw her now as an adult, it was just like, oh, wow, that was the last thing I watched with her, and it was that. What a weird departure.
But yet she worked so well in that film.
She did. She did. That movie was weirder than this one.
All right, I'm going to have to ask this because I know you had this book read to you as a kid.
Yes.
I know I've had this book read to me as a kid. I know I've read this book to my kids. Is this, in your opinion, a faithful adaptation for someone who wants that book on their screen?
I think it's better than the book. I think it's better than the book. I think it takes a character that's beloved and fleshes him out a little bit. Now, when I see the Cat in the Hat, the print version, or like even when I went to Universal Studios a few years ago with my family, and we went to Dr. Seuss World, and the Cat in the Hat was there, like the Cat in the Hat was there, you could take pictures with him. The whole time I was thinking the Mike Myers one is better. Like, where are the bits? Where's the chopping your tail off? Son of a bee, like that. It almost I think it was because I was the right age for it, though. Like I said, I was 8 when this came out, so I was the bang on bullseye target audience for exactly this movie of, hey, you want to see a crazy cartoon brought to life? Here it is. So I think it's more than a faithful adaptation. I dare say that the new one coming out, it's animated, correct?
Yes.
I think that has some pretty big shoes to fill. I do think they're going to be able to do some cooler, more accurate things because it's animated, but this will always probably be the cat in my heart, the Mike Myers one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those situations where, you know, the Benedict Cumberbatch animated Grinch
Didn't hit.
Massive shoes to fill, but because the Jim Carrey was so beloved, I have a feeling that this new Cat in the Hat might have an easier time because the Mike Myers movie didn't hit as well.
And it's also an entirely new generation of kids. It's kids. I would say nowadays there's probably some kids that didn't get read Cat in the Hat. That Dr. Seuss still around. The books are still very popular, but back in the 90s and stuff, the heyday was still up there. Like there was animated versions of a lot of his stuff. There was a kids TV show based on the Cat in the Hat shortly after this movie came out. It was still very much in kind of the public eye. I'm going to go see the new animated version because I liked this movie.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not going to be the only one my age doing that. I don't think.
All right. So now we get to the hard part of the show. Who is your MVP of the Cat in the Hat?
Obviously you want to say Mike Myers, but I feel like that's a little bit too easy. I'm honestly probably going to say my MVP is Sally.
Dakota Fanning.
I think it's Dakota Fanning. Because like I said, watching it as an adult, you get an appreciation for different things that obviously weren't there when I was 8 or like in my teens when I rewatched this on DVD. And having a child play the straight man to Mike Myers, as somebody who went to film school, that's a hell of a job to be put in front of the most charismatic actor of the time. Okay, now you have to like bring him down to earth, and you're going to be the one that levels this out for everybody. And she did a great job. So I think I'm going to say it's Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. She's my MVP as well.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm not off base.
The key thing is this. Dakota Fanning early on proved the level of acting prowess that she had at a very young age. And while I'm still not a fan of War of the Worlds, that's more a Tom Cruise thing, she got my attention with Man on Fire, because that's a very that's a hard movie.
That's a very big departure from this.
But this showed a level of comedic but smart comedic acting.
And it's crazy to think that in a movie with Alec Baldwin and Mike Myers in it, the one who turned out to be both in retrospect at the time, all of it, the best serious dramatic actor on the screen was the 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Because you put anything super dramatic and hard that Mike Myers and Baldwin have done up against Dakota Fanning, and I'm sorry, they're probably not winning it. Dakota Fanning probably has them beat in actual serious acting chops as well.
All right, and when you consider too, the number of kids' stories that she has been a part in, she was the voice of Coraline in 2009. She was in Charlotte's Web in 2006.
Yep.
We've talked about her before already because we've covered Sweet Home Alabama.
Everything she's in, when I was a kid especially, you left going, wow, for a kid, what an actor. Like, what an actress for somebody of her age. And like you said, you're looking at War of the Worlds, World on Fire, Cat in the Hat, Charlotte's Web. Coraline is a cultural movement in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's voice acting as well, which is a completely different ball game. It's a whole different skill set you need to make that work. So I don't think it's a stretch to say she's the MVP of this movie. Mike Myers obviously is like the big bright sun in the center of the universe that everything is revolving around. But I don't think this works if anybody else plays Sally.
No. I mean, then think about it too. Like, she goes on to play Cherry Curry in The Runaways. Does a very good job in that.
Yeah.
Then she was in Ocean's 8 in 2018. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So she's done a Tarantino film.
Yeah, it's like she has range, unbelievable range.
Oh, absolutely. Lyle, thank you so much for this. Now, please remind our listeners what you've been up to lately and where they can find you out there on the interwebs.
You can find me at Lyle.R11 on Instagram, and I am working at Anthem Sports and Entertainment. So watch your TNA wrestling every Thursday night, dirty hoe. I'm sorry, baby. I love you.
All right, dude. Thank you so much for this. And to our dear listeners, well, you guys know the drill. If there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is just so bad that there is no way in Whoville that we can find anything good to say about it, hit us up on social media at NotThatBadCast or go to our website at NotThatBadCast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our merch section. We got t-shirts, we got books. Any way you can support the show absolutely goes a long, long way. Until next time, he's Lyle, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is It's Not That Bad, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.